So over the next couple of slides, we're going to take an example of brute forcing session IDs from 123 greeting cards, and we're going to do that. So here's greeting cards, and I send out a message. An anonymous admirer has sent you a greeting card, free. To see the greeting card, choose any of the following options which work best for you. Click this link. Now, that link down below is associated with a greeting card that came from somebody and is for me. So look at what we see in front of us with 123 greeting cards, or 123greetings.com. Is there anything in there that you're looking at? Remember, from a defender standpoint, we want randomness. From an attacker standpoint, we want predictableness. How about that? Notice that AD 3072512221 is all the same. The session ID is only random in those 5 digits for right now. And they're not very far apart. They're really only random increments, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. See another pattern inside of there? What would be the next increment that you would see here? I think that the next session would be 26 and then some 3-digit number. How long does it take to do 26 and 3 random digit numbers, and could you send all of those in as supplied request and intercept? I think it'd be pretty easy to craft that. That would take a script, 15, 20 minutes at the most. So there's lots and lots of predictability here. Good for us as the attackers, bad for the defenders. Okay, so now let's look at another example here. So this is from Computer World, and we look inside of this hacked in the press, and we see at the very bottom, the last line, session ID equals. And we've got a nice short number there. So that's probably, if we could increment that a couple of times, we could see that actually when we incremented from 78 to 79, we could actually get another session ID. Let's look at a cookie example, free server. So the login looks like this really, really long string, but really what happened was they did a base 64 encoding, and what we could do is a base 64 decoding. And you can go to securitystats.com, their tools, base 64 encoding. There's a whole bunch of base 64 encoders or decoders out there. And then what you would do is you would see that the login 12312334 with a username of password, all they did was obfuscate here. So every time you find those logins, if you could go search for those logins, every time you find those logins, you could then automate that to do the base 64 decoding, and you would get the username and password. They didn't trade it out for something random, they just hid it. The longer way is to use brute force in every single cookie character combination, and you can still do that, because there are all sorts of tools that will do this for you. Like this tool, Session Brute Forcer. Really elegant tool that will allow us to do this randomization here. You'll notice down in the cookie parameter portion, I know it's kind of hard to see there, you'll see that it's got blocks, and you can say it's between this number and this number, and you can randomize in each one of those sessions, so each one of those sections, so that you can actually make predictability in your cookies that you're offering up from brute forcing. Okay, so here's some URL and cookie for authentication. This is the session brute forcer here. Amazon.com. This one won't work, by the way. That's a really, really long string. Look at the cookie, session ID, and it's got that block of numbers in there. If you're trying to attack one of these organizations, what you want to look for is you want to look for short session IDs. If you have long ones, it's just going to take a long time. You will be eventually be able to brute force it, but then what would happen is probably that session ID would expire, or they would make you re-authenticate in a lot of cases. So that's just one tool, Session Brute Forcer, that will help us get inside.